But I'll lose my edge though. If I meditate, I'll lose my edge and then I'll be soft. I won't be able to deal with tough situations and be tough when I need to be tough. It's going to soften me up. I'll lose my edge. 10% happier self-care journey. Today is January 14th, 2020. So, for those that aren't aware, I'm following a course that's called 10% Happier. It's an app that you can download right from the Android or the iOS, Apple Store, whatever your preference is, whatever your taste in phones is. And this is a meditation app that was created by Dan Barker, who is a news anchor, ABC news anchor, who had a panic attack on the news about a decade ago, and it led him to create a course that is contributed by a number of different authors, and it's an amazing course, and you can download it right on your phone. It has a bunch of great features. So I've been going through that, and this particular course that I'm in right now is, the broad title is Meditation for Skeptics, and then there's a bunch of subtopics and that kind of thing. So I love this course because it's basically addressing all the things that people would be skeptical about, whether it's like, I don't have time, meditation is self-indulgent, people might think I'm weird, I can't do this, it deals with all those topics. So today's topic that I went through was, I'll lose my edge. And this is something common that I've heard from people, where they say that they think that meditation will make them soft. So let's talk about it. Many people think that meditation will make them soft. And it's actually quite the contrary. Meditation and mindfulness breeds equanimity, compassion, clarity, clear and rational thinking, and an even keel-ness that actually allows you to deal with all situations better. Those that require calmness and those that require aggressive alertness. And this is my take on the information today. So what I want to do from that, I'm going to elaborate on that in a few, but one thing I want to do that I want to make ritualistic with this is that we start off with the 30-second meditation technique. It's my own personal concept that probably is not new out there. It's probably somebody else out there that does the same thing or is thinking the same thing. But yeah, the 30-second meditation technique. And so my idea of that is 3 deep breaths and 10 seconds of mindfulness, non-judgmental presence. So we're going to do that. You can do this wherever you are. It doesn't matter if you're driving, doesn't matter if you're at home like I am, seated, doesn't matter. Hey Russell, thanks for hanging out. All we're going to do is just take 3 deep breaths, 3 inhales through the nose and exhales through the mouth. And we want them to be long inhales and exhales, because that's how you slow your heart rate down. So here we go. And you can close your eyes or keep them open. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be in. There's no such thing as an ideal situation when being mindful. It's just the intentional, or the intentionality. That's not even a word, but it's the word of the day. Intentionality. Maybe it is. I don't know. The intentional, idea of, or the idea of being intentional. So here we go. So we're gonna take a deep breath in and out. Another deep breath in and out. One more final deep breath in and out. I'm going to take 10 more seconds to just be in that space. And that's it. Congratulations. If that's your first time doing that, you have successfully meditated, and you did not have to sit in the lotus position with your fingers touching and your legs crossed with candles burning and the music from Aaron Hill. Well, you did do it with my music, but speaking of which, this song that you hear playing in the background is actually a meditation that I wrote several years ago called Mansions. And on steel drum, taking us on a mental vacation, that is my good brother Akil Raphael. I gave him the nickname Akil the Steel. So anyway, you don't have to have any kind of quote unquote ideal, situations or circumstances in order to do that. Ideal literally is just that you are alive, you're breathing, and you have the ability to do it anytime you need to de-escalate from a stressful situation, or if you just need to practice it so you can practice what I call, preventative mindfulness. Your preventative meditation techniques, which is doing it so that you just stay in that particular place. So many people think that meditation makes them soft. And again, it's the opposite. One thing I enjoyed about this session today is that they were basically interviewing and working with police officers. Hey Dane, happy Tuesday, brother. How you doing? Thanks for hanging out. They were working with police officers. And these police officers, were asked questions about what they deal with on a day-to-day basis. And what I so appreciated about it was it was a direct example of something we're going to talk about in a few, which is, there are certain jobs, certain things that we do in life, certain kind of hobbies or jobs or careers where meditation and mindfulness should be like literally a part of the daily regimen, just like training in any other kind of way, physical training and staying fit and strong physically. Meditation, I don't know if it is, I don't think that it is, because I've never, at least to date, I haven't heard that it is, but it should be, because meditation and mindfulness do not make you soft. It's quite the contrary. They actually prepare you for high intensity situations because you have a sense of equanimity and calmness and composure about you that permeates, more so than the toxic feelings or the uncomfortable feelings and the impulsiveness that can stem from it. So I thought that it was really good that they were talking to police officers, because it really shed light on one of the most important places in life where we need this kind of practice. We need people to be practicing meditation and mindfulness. Okay, so here's the second point. The tendency is to think that the best way to deal with stress or stressful situations is to aggressively, and I almost want to even say aggrievously or egregiously, whatever the word is, the tendency is to think that the best way to deal with stress or stressful situations is to aggressively stuff it down or quote unquote be stronger. How many times do we hear that? However, the more rigid you are, the more deeply it permeates your system. Opening up to it allows the energy to move through, giving you the ability to reset and to come back to an experience more healthy, positively, and fully. Good day, Andre. How you doing today, brother? Thanks so much for hanging out. And everybody else that's hanging. Drop a line. Let me know if you all can hear me clearly. And let me know if you dig what I'm saying so far. So the tendency is the thing. Many times in our culture, especially in the African American community, we're so used to dealing with really tough and stressful situations, that we teach ourselves and we teach others to just be strong and independent, and don't cry. Many times, especially with guys, we see it as a form of weakness. We see it as a form of a lack of strength or cowardice. And it's completely the opposite. We know that, but it still can't be overstated at this point. It really cannot be overstated, because it's known here, but it's, as far as experience, we need more experience in knowing of that, like abroad, experientially speaking. So yeah, because there are times when being tough and not breaking down or folding under pressure, that's what we're really talking about. We're really just diagnosing the situations where we fold under pressure. But what we're doing is using this kind of be strong as like a blanket over all situations, even ones where you don't need to be strong. You need to allow the emotions to flow through, be gentle with yourself, and work through them, because they're healthy emotions. All emotions. So that's the tendency to think to stuff it down. But the more rigid, I love the way that they even said this, the more rigid that you are, and then I put the more deeply it permeates your system. So opening up allows you to have the energy. It allows the energy to move through, giving you the ability to reset, which is so important, and to come back to an experience more healthy, positively, and fully. And again, I think it was so good that they were talking to police officers, because that's one of the jobs where you really need this ability. Whether we talk about, the recent past, unjustified shootings, of innocent people and these kind of things, or we just talk about the situations where nothing went wrong as far as in the eyes of society or controversy, but yet at the same time they needed to be able to reset and be as healthy and positively looking at a situation as possible. So this practice increases your capacity and develops invaluable skills for high intensity jobs, especially where de-escalating situations is a regular part of the daily work, like being a police officer, firefighter, etc., because you develop the ability to deal with intense situations with more clarity and less mindless impulsiveness. I just wrote that, and I don't even think that it really needs any more clarity. I can't help expanding on it, but that's really what it is. The thing about impulsiveness is that, one of my conversations that I have with one of my best friends, where we chop it up pretty regularly and deeply about things like emotions and that kind of thing. One of the things I say in our conversations a lot, and we kind of differ a little bit on views, but not too deeply, is that I feel like we are more so subject to our emotions than in control, at least initially. I say subject because certain emotions, like even fear and the fight or flight emotions, and those things, there were scenarios in our more primitive history where those traits were not only needed, they were the only trait needed. There was a time in our history as human beings where the only thing we needed to do was to fight or flight. There wasn't the level of communication, there wasn't the level of relationship that we have now, to where all these other things come into play, like not fighting or flighting. Or fleeing, flighting. There was a point in time where it was just other animals that would hurt us or harm us, or we hurt or harm them for our survival, and other people who were either going to take our stuff or we take their stuff, because the combating of resources and these primitive states of evolution. So there was a time when immediate reactions and punching someone when they said something wrong, or just going from 0 to 100 was like needed. But now we live in a time where most scenarios and situations, like those emotions, that impulsiveness, fight or flight, is not really needed. There's actually an alternative, and the alternative is all of this stuff that we're talking about today. So that's one reason why I value this stuff, because on a very practical level, I've always applied this. This has been who I am, but I love how it's coming now in like to a deeper and more fuller like experience, because like that's the world that we're in now. Caesar Bell, what's up, cuzzo? This is the world that we live in now, where again we have less reason to fight or flight in many day-to-day situations. So those kind of impulsive reactions are just not warranted or needed. So I can't overstate that. Like, especially like I said, in this situation where they were talking to police officers, you know, and these kind of, and everybody though, everybody needs this. So clarity is the ability to tease out the details of our experience. I like how they put that. It's the ability to tease out the details of our experience. You know, little by little, you become aware, and that's clarity. And every little bit of mindfulness brings or makes way for clarity, which is why it's always good to stay open. Mark Johnson, thanks so much for hanging out, brother. Equanimity. Equanimity is mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. The ability to receive challenging energy without returning the favor. And I just put that up as a personal quote of mine. You know, it's kind of like my little way of encapsulating the definition like into a fun little, you know, a fun little nugget. You know, equanimity is the ability to receive challenging energy without returning the favor. And I have to say that, like, I really appreciate it makes me appreciate myself to a deeper degree, and even to, I guess I would even say my mother, for the fact that like now I've been a person, throughout my whole life, where equanimity and patience and openness and mindfulness really came natural to me. You know, I've always been a relatively non-judgmental person, you know, and I never have understood why. It's just how I see things, you know. I'm usually open before I judge, you know, and I'm like anyone else. I have my judgments, but like patience and equanimity and mindfulness have always been traits. And so now I'm going from that being like just how I moved and how I am, to now me being even more intentional on top of that, putting a layer of intentionality on top of that, to continue to explore these topics and to just continue to go deeper as far as these traits. So that's what equanimity is, for those that didn't know. Mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, especially in difficult situations. So last but not least, I always want to end on this tip, and I've started to make it a habit and a ritual. So last but not least, learn to enjoy your own company and always extend gratitude, gratefulness, and thankfulness to yourself for intentionally making it a priority to make time for your self-care. That level of gratitude and thankfulness to yourself it's the icing on the cake. But now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, that's actually 50% of the practice. Because when you feel good about yourself for practicing, you make the practice actually have effects. You know, you feel good about being open. And you know, I mentioned this yesterday, and this is the last and final thing. You know, when I think about accepting, investigating, you know, some of the traits that we talked about yesterday, these are traits that I find never get old, you know, and they just never, like, it's almost like putting a deposit into a bank, to a bank account. Like it will always be there for you. And you can't go back on your practice. Like, once you learn something, once you experience something, to me, to know is to experience, you know, it's to experience. So, you know, I was revisiting something that I learned in a video recently, a psychology video, where the psychologist pointed out a really, really small nuance to changing a habit. And he said that the way that you change a habit is not by stopping the habit, it's by actually starting a new habit. And so that's what this is. That's why every time you practice mindfulness, every time you're open to something, you practice patience or equanimity, and then you're grateful to yourself, you're teaching yourself that, like, this really feels good, and that this particular formula, this particular method works. You know, so always take that time to extend yourself self-compassion and gratitude for even taking the time, the 30 seconds, the 20 minutes to watch a live stream about it. You know, the ability to try it on your own when you just get pissed off by someone, and instead of letting them have it, you know, you do your 30-second meditation. You take 3 deep breaths and take 10 more seconds to just be non-judgmental and realize this person is going through something too, and maybe that's why they lashed out, and they don't mean it, so it's not going to help them to bash them, like, whatever, you know. So that's about it for today. Thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for watching. I did forget to do one thing that I'm going to do right now, which is I forgot to paste the notes so that you all can follow along. So I just pasted the notes to the chat, and if you can, you know, take the time and read back over them. Hey Monique, hey Jermaine, thanks for watching. Happy Tuesday to you. If you get a chance, take the time to look back over those notes that I just posted. Yeah, and also, you know, on my Medium account, I want you all to actually see this all together. So I have all these entries as a book. My quotes I have as a book. My shenanigans and my silly shit I have as a book. And my self-care journey I have as a book. All you have to do is go to medium.com/AaronHillTV. And I want you to see these. I'm eventually going to publish these as ebooks that you can download, like on other platforms like Amazon and those kind of things. But right now I've just been compiling all these entries into a book format on Medium. So if you get a chance, check that out there and let me know what you think. And then last but not least, if you desire to help to support me to continue to make content like this and the other content that you all see, then look for the information in the description of this video and in the comment section. And that's about it. As always, peace, have a great day, love someone, and be well. Take care. Talk to you soon.